Welcome all and happy Friday, October 20th, 2017. Have quite a few different things to talk about today. There was another 900 shot in the world of bowling a few days ago, and we have several new ball releases to touch on. The 900 kind of goes along with one of the talking points today too. First, however, there are a ton of new ball releases from Storm and Roto coming out before the end of the year. A week from today, on the 27th, the Intense the Matchup Hybrid get released. I have videos up for both of those, so if you haven't seen them yet, go check those out, as well as the opinion videos. While I'm mentioning the opinion videos too, I'm glad everybody likes what I'm doing with them. It didn't really start out intentional, it just kind of evolved into what it is. I've done the basic ball reviews for a while, and while there's always this kind of assumed staffer bias, which to be honest is really true in some cases, a lot of guys just kind of cut and paste the same hype speak. Whether it's true about every ball or not, but despite this assumed staffer bias, the vast majority of you have come to trust that I'm going to give it to you straight and have become more interested in my opinion than just another drive-by-the-book ball review. At first I saw the opinion videos as a chance to let loose and have a little more fun with it, because I do submit the ball reviews to Storm for review, so I do have to maintain some level of professionalism when I'm in sort of a official capacity, but otherwise I'm free to inject my own personality into everything else. So I'm big into comedy movies and one-liners, so that naturally just kind of worked its way in once I got settled into what I was doing on the opinion videos, and I've got a few other fun things planned as well. Back to the bowling balls. On November 24th, the Daredevil Danger and All Out Show Off will release. Both of these are hybrids. I also have a preview video out with some information on those, so check that out as well. Now we have the big bomb that dropped very recently, about two more Storm releases before the end of the year: the High Road Nano and the Sonic, spelled S-O-N, and then the exclamation mark and the capital Q, indicating it's a new IQ. This was covered in my preview video that should have been up just a little bit earlier, so definitely check that out also. I don't want to do too much double speaking here, but these two I'm really excited about. They look like just straight overseas releases. I mean, they look too cool, they sound too cool, and they just make too much heckin' sense to get released over here. So, I mean, definitely go watch my preview video if you want to know more about those. They are staggering the release dates on these a little bit. High Road Nano is first on December 1st, and the Sonic comes out on December 15th. So a couple of perfect Christmas presents. You can't tell me somebody wouldn't be happy opening a Sonic for Christmas. I mean, it's easily one of the best looking balls I've ever seen, and I just hope it smells as good as it looks. On to bowling news. Monday the 16th, October 16th, just earlier this week, Joe Navarra from Long Island recorded the 34th sanctioned 900 series in history. I have the link to the story in the description below. Now, this always opens up a can of worms every time it happens. I mean, some say it's cool. Glenn Allison's name inevitably comes up, as some say it's a sure sign bowling is too easy and there's too many 900s are ruining bowling. First, though, we have to give credit where credit is due. It's not like this is a fluke. This guy's next series highs are 880, 879, and 868. He's had the front 31 twice. He has over 150 300 games. He's bowled 3 300 games in a 4-game set, and he's only 26. I mean, I don't care how lucky you get or how easy it is, that kind of stuff just doesn't happen that many times without you knowing what you're doing. And a side point here, too, before I go too much further, he shot it with a Hustle ink. I'm probably the least surprised person on the planet that the ink has a 900 to its name already. Anyway, I think only the people who really want to be pissy about things will find a way to complain about this. I mean, with all the games and sets that are bowled every year, and with as good as technology has gotten, and as good as the bowlers have gotten, this was just kind of inevitable. I mean, Joe Scarborough, a 50-year-old on the PBA Senior Tour, shot a 900 on tour conditions over 3 pairs of lanes. So there's a few excuses that just don't work anymore in my mind. And while I'm thinking about it, yes, Glenn Allison's 900 should be sanctioned, but it never will, because it opens too big of a can of worms and they just don't want to deal with it. So that's completely and absolutely wrong in my mind, but that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk about, though, is a bit of continuation from last week on having fun bowling. Now, yes, you're going to have a few people saying, oh, another person shot 900, bowling's too easy, both from bowlers and from non-bowlers. And, you know, all the good bowlers have to be above such things and act like it was just another 900 on a house shot, and, you know, let's see him shoe up and do that on a tougher condition, which is pretty, you know, unfair and unrealistic, but let's examine that for a minute. This guy has fun bowling. He's had a lot of success. He owns a pro shop. He got excited. The whole bowling alley just lost their minds. Yeah, that really looks like bowling being ruined there. So the pursuit of perfection is on everyone's mind. Whether it really is truly perfection or not, you can't find me anyone who would say that they wouldn't love to shoot 300 or didn't enjoy shooting their last one. I've had some where I pured every single shot, and I've had some that had a couple Brooklyns in there or gotten really huge breaks. I've also had a few 279s and 280s where I left a blaster 8 pin or drove by a 9 that probably should have gone, but the bottom line is that even at my highest level of elitism or snobbery, I secretly really enjoyed shooting them, even when I tried to act like I didn't deserve a break or you know, that it was just another 300 on a house shot that would earn me a Cracker Jack box ring that I couldn't trade somebody for a cup of coffee. And I can't wait until I shoot another one, though, and another 800. They're fun. It makes bowling fun. It gives you kind of a taste of success or validation, or a kind of a reward for the effort that you're not going to get if you're beating your brains out on sport patterns all the time. I mean, even pros bowl in house conditions when they get the chance because it helps loosen their arm swing up. They obviously are the best at keeping their success in perspective, but who doesn't have fun putting up big numbers here and there? It's fun. Some will say that it gives people a false sense of skill, like they think that because they shot a big game or a big set on a condition that gave them 5 boards to throw at, means that they're ready to go out on tour or something, and I don't agree with that at all. I mean, the first time that somebody goes to a regional or goes to nationals or something and finds out what it's all about, they'll learn. And if they talk big but never go shoe up on something tough, let them talk big, because the reason that they haven't gone and tried it is because they already know what's going to happen. And if you feel good about your game, or you're content with the fun that you have in a league environment, I mean, you do you, boo-boo. I mean, have fun. But to act like this isn't still a skill in itself is wrong, because somebody on Ball Reviews made the comment that putting up the scores people do now is challenging in a different way from the old days. If you averaged 200 in the 70s and 80s, you were a good solid bowler. It meant you hit the pocket a lot, you picked up your spares, you kept yourself out of trouble. Now it's a different mindset. Hitting the pocket and cleaning up what's left doesn't get it done anymore. To keep up, you have to strike the majority of the time. You don't go out there anymore just saying, okay, make a good shot, see what happens. It's thinking about all the things that you have to do to make the pins go down on every single shot. As mental as bowling always has been and always will be, they were simpler times back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, for me, it's like having a 10-foot putt, and the difference between trying to make the putt versus trying to get it close enough to tap it in. Back in the 70s and 80s, the goal was the same. I mean, knock all the pins down, but the higher goal was keeping yourself out of trouble, because it was a lot tougher back then. Even small mistakes could get you in a lot of trouble, and you didn't just say, oh, well, I'll throw a 3 or 4 bagger and just get it all back. I mean, most of the time, if you lost a few frames, you just lost a few frames. I mean, it wasn't just as simple as picking yourself up and throwing the back 5 to rescue yourself. The philosophy was hit the pocket and good things will happen. That's why you see so many of these good bowlers in their 50s and 60s now putting up solid numbers despite not throwing at 20 miles an hour or having a 500 rev rate. You watch some of those guys going, how on earth do they keep striking over and over again? It's because they came up in an era where making good shots was king, where it was the most important thing, and they've got an enormous amount of feel and touch. Yeah, you're going to get tapped and have some of those games where there's more 9 spares up there than you want, but rarely do you see these guys shooting 170 or 180 on a bad game, because they have this old school mentality of just keeping it in play and taking the big games and the sets where they get them. You contrast that to today's game where it's all about the risk reward. It's all about striking, it's about speed and power and making pins fly. 9 spare isn't a successful frame. It's a failure that loses you ground on your opponent. I don't know how many times I've looked up after the 8th frame of game this year and seen that both me and my opponent have 7 strikes and 1 9 spare, and I'm thinking, well, I've got to just get up there and throw the back 4 to make him show up. Yeah, it's on a house shot, so it's totally doable, but you can't count on difficulty to hold your opponent back. Only a mental mistake or a physical error is going to do that. You have to push and you have to strike to put pressure on them. And it's their responsibility to respond to that pressure and try to put it right back on you. Even in the collegiate game or the professional tour, striking is the name of the game. Nobody's going to be disappointed with a 9 spare unless it's like their 3rd or 4th one in a row. Sometimes 9 spare is a great frame when the scoring pace is low. But in today's game, if you're not striking, you're falling behind. I mean, 30 to 40 years ago, you could say the same thing, but it was much more about closing frames. I mean, now if you open the first 2 frames, you can turn right around and throw the back 10 and forget all about it. Now that we caught the rabbit on that trail, let's jump back to having fun. Shooting 900 looks like a lot of fun. I'd love to do it. I'm sure you would too. It would be fun. It would definitely be something you never forget, regardless of what anyone says. It goes on your record and won't ever come off. When someone gets a hole-in-one, I don't ever hear anyone saying, oh, but it was an easy course, or it was a 120-yard shot, and blah, blah. I mean, a hole-in-one is a hole-in-one, and it gets to be cool no matter what. You can argue the actual challenge or accomplishment until you're blue in the face, but the bottom line is that this guy's good, and he shot 900, and I don't care how easy the shot is. He made a lot of high-quality shots, and he absolutely stuffed the last 2 that we see in the video. Now, anyone who has shot 300 or has a chance at it knows it's kind of hard to keep your nerves in check, whether it's actual nerves or excitement or whatever. I mean, any way you look at it, you know it's 300. And staying focused on getting the shots in the 10th to go is an accomplishment in and of itself, and I think that that's most of the time what people are the happiest about. It's not because that they think it makes them a good, a great bowler, because it means something big or anything. It's just a personal deal that means that they got up there, they got it done, and that's okay. I mean, then they take that, and multiply it by 3. And then multiply that by a lot, because if you think that there's a big difference between 299 and 300, think about 899 and 900. I mean, you'll likely get more chances to shoot 300, but if you miss on the front 35, that's a different story, because that's probably the one and only time that you're ever going to get in that situation. And the fact that he got up there with no hesitation and made what I'd call a perfect shot is pretty impressive, no matter what anybody else has to say about it. I think that's going to wrap up the podcast for today. I'll be back next Friday for the release of the Intense and the Matchup Hybrid. I should have another video or 2 up between now and then, but if it doesn't happen, I'll just see you next Friday. So thank you for watching.